Welcome to the first actual race, the actual start of this wonderful tournament, the 46 Robot Masters.
I didn't know we had a theme song.
I just kind of threw that in there.
I got one. I couldn't tell at all. I thought it was that you worked that one out.
Thank you.
Welcome. Early morning on the East Coast, anyway.
Oh yeah.
We got some Mega Man, and like you said, this is the single elimination stage of the tournament. We got 20 people who are left to battle it out. Each match is to the death. Except it's to the tournament death. Both players will be alive after the end of the tournament. That's okay, though. We got a route deviation early on. We got Kongcakes is going cut first. His opponent, Hypah, going guts first. Cut is the faster route that requires you to know how to do the zip. And if you're not going to do that, you want to start with guts. And that's what Hypah is going to do. Not too big a difference in time. This isn't going to set him way back as long as he plays solid. These guys could very easily be neck and neck coming out of Mega Man 1.
Oh, absolutely. While we have a spare moment, though, I do want to talk about that real quick. It's interesting to note because each player had to submit a sum of best segments to the tournament people. It's interesting to note that for Hypah and for Kongcakes, there is a second difference to Hypah's advantage. Hypah has a 1356 and Kong has a 1357. So that's one thing to note is Hypah can manage to save 1 second. He can get himself rolling really good here as he does manage to finish off Bomb Man. He had just a little bit of health remaining, so he needs to be just a touch more careful next time. Taking a little too much damage there.
When you said he had the second advantage, I thought you meant like a second entirely different strategy or something in mind. I didn't realize it was literally 1 second separating these guys and their best ever split from Mega Man 1. These guys are certainly evenly matched, at least early on, and I think that trend will continue as these guys progress through the Mega Man series.
Alrighty. Both have their first Robot Master down. Hypah is now heading into Cut Man. Meanwhile, Kongcakes will now head into Elect Man, where he's going to do the Elect Zip in order to get the Magnet Bridge first. That's going to be an interesting setup.
Oh, right. Do we have the commentary viewer? I'm on live streamer right now. Okay, then could you give me the timers then, and I'll get synced up. Okay. All right.
Oh, right. I meant to do that.
Alright, I think I'm going to be stuck 1 second behind on Hypah. No big deal. What might be a big deal is Hypah going into this boss fight with 4 health.
Oh, yeah.
He's got Gutsman's weapon, but ooh, there, nice little health drop. That's gonna help him out just a little bit. He has Gutsman's weapon, but this can get players into trouble because their first hit on Cutman comes a little later.
And it looks like...
This is going to be good.
Yep. He manages to split the difference on Cutman.
Oh, here we go. Getting the chat all riled up. Because that's what it takes to rile this chat up is
bad puns that work.
Alright. Here's the zip that you have to do if you're going to go this route.
Gets it. Booyah.
Yep. Just having a little trouble getting out of there. An okay zip for Kongcakes. Very careful when he picks up the magnet beam. It's possible to soft lock and end up inside that little square where the magnet beam is. You don't want to do that, so you want to make sure you just barely edge your way out there, grab it with your toe, pull it in, get back inside the wall, and zip out. If you want, you can go for a really advanced exit from the zip where you end up at the top of the screen, but it's a lot harder to do than going back out the bottom.
Agreed. But the advantage is Kongcakes actually has it. Meanwhile, Hypah here is going to actually have to go and get it now. He's going to get it the legitimate way. But this gives Kongcakes a little bit of an edge towards, going into everything else it takes. Because he'll be able to use the Magnet Bridge to get across a lot of plits and platforms and get all the zips earlier than Hypah would have. So there's the advantage for Kongcakes. The only thing he has to keep in mind is he has to remember to be cautious of where he's going, how much health he has, is there a nearby object that can kill me. All those things have to constantly be in Kongcakes' mind in order to stay ahead of this.
Yeah, he actually had a lot of magnet beams to play around with, so I guess he decided he wasn't really going to use them on this climb up to the boss room. And I guess to take a moment just to make sure that this Elect Man fight goes okay. Pretty simple, but he misses that last shot there, so he does take a hit. That's going to be okay. He has the health to take that hit because he played it super safe on the Stomper. He used his extra beams to make a little ladder on the left side of the screen and made a little bridge over it, so he didn't have to deal with the randomness of the Stomper doing a short jump or a high jump.
And Kongcakes typing in chat, LOL, whoops, as he accidentally chose Fireman over Iceman. So we might see him take an intentional down, or we might see him play up the stage. We don't know just yet.
Iceman's weapon can be really helpful, but if you're good with your magnet beams, you're going to want to stick with it through most of the stage. Obviously, you want the boss's weakness when you fight the boss, but with the select glitch, you should be able to make your lemons go quite a long ways. It'll be a little slower, but not as slow as forcing a game over. As long as he can hold on to these magnet beams, because he does not have the ice to fall back on to freeze these fire pillars.
No, he doesn't, so he has to play extra cautious. Same thing as playing extra cautious. Hypah here literally only has 4 grains of rice. He is going to get eliminated if he gets touched by Elect Man in his room and have to redo the climb. Thankfully, though, as we mentioned, gets the glitch, gets the job done, and makes sure that Elect Man is short-circuited. Meanwhile, Kongcakes here sets it up.
Looks
and
good.
He's zip.
Yeah. He's got a lot of health going into the boss fight, which is good, because this fight is not going to be over with one projectile.
No, it is not.
And that means you're probably going to have to dodge some of his attacks. Fireman's attacks are kind of hard to dodge. They're really tall. They come out really fast. He can throw like a billion of them at once. Look at him trying to play it safe on these turrets. Gets hit twice. He's going to wish he had that health for the boss fight, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
We'll
He's below half health. He can make it work. I mean, it is possible to go into a boss on half health, and if you time your shots correctly, you can pretty much make it easy. Now, the thing that really stinks here is Fireman is basically a souped-up version of Pharaoh Man. He skips the charge timer, he throws as many as he wants, and he leaves behind a pillar. Meanwhile, freaking Hypah over there, very nice glitch, gets past the Yoku block section without having to touch a single one.
Yeah, wow, he's skipping the refill too, so this is
wow.
Pretty risky. He needs to get to the edge of the stage. He does. It looks like he's not worried about going for a second wrap here at all. A lot of players, even really skilled players, will pick up that refill.
Hypah was thinking jumping the big eye, and the big eye says hello and matches him with the same height. That's a smack in the face you don't want to hear in the morning.
Nice jump high five between the two of them. But it's one of those high fives where one person's really into it and the other person's not, and they just totally slam the other guy's hand, and he start, waves it a little bit, stings. That's the kind of situation you had going on there. Iceman is down. It's a really fun boss fight. Jump and shoot once, and as long as your select glitches are anywhere near decent, you'll just completely eradicate him.
Kongcakes answers Hypah's quick zip through the Yoku blocks of Iceman with one of his own. Very nice job. So this is where he's definitely going to make up the most ground, because, again, after this, he's going to have Bomb and Gutsman. He already has their weakness. He already has, Bomb Man's weakness, so that'll be easy to get through.
Yeah, the players have swapped stages now. We have Hypah almost making that jump up there in Fireman stage. Kongcakes actually has the Magna Beams to go for a corridor zip, though. He's pretty far off that pixel he wants. Third time was pretty close, but not quite. Every zip in Mega Man 1 is pixel perfect. Thankfully, there are a couple setups, mostly involving ladders, that can help players find that pixel. But a lot of the time, they're relying on pure muscle memory to jump up and place those Magna Beams at exactly the right height.
Yeah, and that's the tough part. Like, I've tried some of these on my spare time. I can definitely confirm with Mythical here, they are pixel perfect. If you're even the slightest pixel off in your setup, you're doing one of two things. You're going to, 1, kill yourself. 2, end up sending yourself to a nearby ladder you didn't want to, which really messes you up. Because then you can scroll back up the screen and it's like, crumb! As we can see, both players have managed to drop the shotgun on Iceman. And now we have Kongcakes going into Bomb Man. He thankfully has the Magnet Beam, so we can do the Bomb Zip to definitely save some ground and time here. Meanwhile, we see Hypah heading in with the Ice Beam on the ready, going to take out Fireman.
He's also got a fair amount of health if he has to take a hit. He is going to take one. And that's all it's going to be.
So now this will put both players on the same stage. It's going to put, Kongcakes halfway through Bomb Man, and it's going to bring Hypah to Bomb Man. The biggest advantage is if Hypah, ends up messing up on the zip here and ends up knocking himself around, well, Kongcakes gets the zip and gets in the Gutsman stage. This will put him back on somewhat even footing. It was a small price to pay, but Kongcakes did indeed finish Fireman stage with the Buster, so he thought it better that way, like you said, to, I'm not going to take this down, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tough it out. And he indeed did tough it out, so that saved him, a huge gap. Flying bullet there on Kongcakes almost knocked him off the ladder and sent him piling into the flags.
Yeah, it's really good that he recovered and grabbed the ladder there. Woo! In Mega Man 1, you will still die on spikes even if you're in invincibility frames. No cheeky running along the spikes in this game. So that was a matter of life and death, grabbing that ladder. He had the setup on the bridge, too, for the zip. So that's really annoying. If you're at the right height for the zip, then the bullet bills will spawn too high off screen. They will despawn before they get to you, and you don't have to worry about them. But if you're a little lower and then you move up to start finding the pixel, they can spawn low enough to give you problems. Like this one just did for Hypah. He too grabs the ladder after finding the pixel he needs.
Let's hope he can get it this... Ooh! Whoa, Hypah. Hypah was 1 pixel away from disaster. At the last possible second, he manages to turn around and face right. If he stayed left just a pixel 2 more, he would have suffered a very debilitating down. I mean, he would have been at the checkpoint, but yeah, it would have been a very, very, very debilitating down for him. But with Bomb Man down, he manages to cinch that one and move flying colors into the next round.
Is that a Flashman joke? He's like light turns into like through a prism. I don't know. That was
That was a bad play on words, guess, but sure, we can work it that way.
Ooh, a nice corridor zip there for Kongcakes. He was having some trouble with those earlier, but he does get one on his way to Gutsman's room here.
Oh, definitely.
Hypah having a bit of trouble on the slippery glass floors of Flashman's stage.
Yeah, that's the unfun physic about Flashman's stage. It's the unspoken physic, and that is he has slippery floors. Now, I don't know if he forgot to tell his floor buffer to take it easy on the polish or something, but it just adds up over time. And with Gutsman down, Mega Man 1 has been rocked by both players. Both are doing exceedingly well getting into the next game.
Taking a look at their splits, I'm seeing a lot of green numbers.
I'm seeing green, I'm seeing similarities. I saw a couple golds. I saw a gold specifically on Kongcakes earlier when he started, so that's definitely, you know, something to get him pumped. As he just starts into Flashman stage, meanwhile, here comes Hypah. He's throwing all the lemons in the universe and gets Flashman down. And now this is where the biggest changes might come into play here. But they're both going to go the same route. But for most players, what we saw during the prelims was them just coming together and going, okay, so some people went Flashman first, then they would go Air Heat, or some people would go Airman first and then go Flashman, then Heat, or some people would go Flashman, then Heat, then Air, like these two guys are going to be doing. Because, for example, for the route they're doing, they're looking for fast air. And Mythical, want to walk us through that while we have a little time?
Yeah, fast air is a strategy where you go to Heatman stage second, and you get the item that you get for beating him, which is the item 1, which is the floating platform that slowly rises up. And the fast air strategy is in Airman stage, you use those to skip riding on some cloud platforms. And normally you're stuck waiting there, you know, while they slowly go around in circles and line up with each other. So the idea is to skip it with the platforms, but it is incredibly hard to do. There's enemies on each platform that take up almost the entire width of the thing, so there are some damage boosts involved, or you can play it really risky and jump on the edges of the cloud platform. You also need to be really precise with placing your platforms. If they're not far apart enough, or they are too far apart vertically, you're going to run out of space you need to get to the next platform in time. So it's definitely an advanced strategy, but we are at the point in the tournament where we can sort of start to expect this kind of thing, and it'll be up to the players to make it happen in Airman stage. That's after Heat, though. First up, looks like we're going to get a Heat zip from the floor. This is a safer setup for this zip.
Boom.
The problem is it eats up so much of your energy that if you screw up the zip, you don't have many tries to do it again, if any. He does get it, though. He's onto the Yoku block section.
And thankfully there, as you saw, at the edge start into the lava pool for the Yoku block section. If you time it just right, you can clip yourself through one of the blocks and then make a quick jump and get onto the next set of Yoku blocks, which really, really helps. And as you saw there, Hypah nails it. Now gets past the Sniper Joe Walker and has a little bit over half to deal with Heatman. Which, by the way, did you know you could also use the air shooter instead of bustering the crap out of him if you do decide to go like Airman first?
That's neat. You'd have to get... Yeah, you're going to be close to him anyway, so yeah.
Might as well. But then again...
Seeing, air second from Kongcakes. So the section he's in where he's routing these clouds, this is the section you want to skip. And it looks like we're going to have a decent Heatman fight from Hypah. And by that I mean he's alive at the end of it. Heatman does a lot of damage. It's possible to optimize the fight a little bit by staying close, but it's really tricky because he hits you really hard and he moves really fast, and he's random when he charges you, so all those things combined make it really difficult to shave frames on that fight. He opted to play it safe, put some distance between him and Heatman, and give himself enough time to react.
Kongcakes there had a little bit of trouble with the gremlins and little gremlins, does manage to make it past. He's now having to deal with the PPs and Mastaburo. Manages to save himself from going in the hole while he has PPs flying straight ahead of him. Probably a smart strategy because this prevents the big PP from coming along and dropping the eggs down, which will add extra lag. So that was actually a good follow-up and save by Kongcakes there. As we can see, Hypah is now going to come in and he's going to pull off fast air. As you can see here, he's starting with the Flash Stopper. He's going to make it through the Gremlin section very clean and tight. Then he's going to switch to Item 1 as he heads across the Thunderlord section, and he's going to start hopping across their clouds. And the thing that's going to be really hard here is he's going to take a lot of damage in the process, so he has to be mindful of his life when he gets done with this section. That is the unfortunate trade-off for fast air, is you're going to lose a lot of life. Meanwhile, Kongcakes had a very, very excellently well-played fight with Airman and gets him down.
Yeah, I had a bit of trouble with that that first attack tried to sneak in those lemon shots over the tornadoes, didn't quite get it. It's really important how you take damage in that fight. If possible, you want to take damage while he's blowing the tornadoes so that you don't get blown back with them. You can actually end up on the other side of them very quickly, and that lets you get in a lot of shots on the next round. Wow, Hypah is not going for that tiny health drop. Yeah, he's in the pit. Those birds are tough. A lot of people like to spawn them to the left by facing left at just the right moment. And it's because of things like that.
So Kongcakes, having a last-minute decision, decides, you know what? I'm doing air second because I didn't want to waste the 2 minutes for fast air and the inevitability that, you take it down. And as we saw, Hypah did indeed take it down, but it wasn't the fact of fast air. He took it down because it had a combination of the Master Burrow, which is the enemy that's with the fan, blowing him, and at the same time a PP came by and dropped an egg directly in his path. So the tiny PPs came out and wham, midair, going back. And that's the bad thing about being in the air is you do suffer a little bit of knockback, and any forward momentum you really had immediately goes to going backwards. Kongcakes here gets the zip, gets it done. Meanwhile, we have Hypah, who's fighting Airman, had a little trouble, had to wait 3 whole air cycles of the tornadoes in order to get across, but does get it done. And as you can see, Kongcakes there. Smooth ride on item 2. Gets the 1-up in the process, so he now has a little bit of a health buffer.
That's another one of the advantages of this route. You do not have to do fast air, and you get to use the item 2 in Heatman stage.
Oh yeah.
See what he has in mind for this Heatman fight. Less than half-life. A lot of players like to take a hit at the very end to sort of optimize that final shot. And it's a lot safer to do it when the fight is guaranteed than it is to just do it early on. Looks like, he jumps away a little too slowly.
Yeah, unfortunately. He got hit on the 30 cycle there, so unfortunately with the 30, 60, 90 frame intervals, on the 31, when Heatman dashes, he's going to break as soon as your pixel is directly over him. So if you're trying to jump him, don't. Always jump away from him if you can help it, especially if you see him just quickly go flying at you.
Hypah having a bit of trouble setting up the Crashman zip.
Oh yeah,
he had the platform in the right spot, and he just
these tellies
off of it.
These tellies are relentless, man. They're not letting up on him. And there he goes. He finally says, "You know what? I've had it with you." Boom. And for his reward, he gets 3 big energies, so that adds a little bit of lag, but it also gives him, the energy refill from the tellies trolling him, and here they come again. They're out for blood. Oh my goodness. These tellies are making Hypah's life miserable.
This one might be good. He needs to get all the way over to the right, though.
He's got 4 grains of rice. He's been on the second screen, allowing time for Kongcakes to catch up. Yep. This zip is not working for him.
Kong is in there, so he is officially ahead. This is so much time to lose on this screen this way.
Oh no, Hypah, no! Ooh!
I mean, at this point, this is gonna reset where the tellies are. It's gonna be like he was doing it from the beginning, like it never happened.
But the unfortunate thing is he does take it down, and the one thing to keep note of is that is leading him to his last life. So if he does not get a 1-up between now and Woodman, he cannot do good wood. Oh, wait a minute, no!
Extra life in Quickman stage.
Oh no, he's on his last life, I thought. Oh no. Oh no! This is gonna kill him!
Oh, it is.
No!
It totally is. Oh boy.
Oh no! Hypah, with the miscalculation, realized at the last second he did not have an extra life because he took it down to the tellies. Takes a game over after getting the crash zip, which will send him all the way back to Crashman stage, officially handing Kong the torch and running with it.
This is going to be hard to recover from. Just from, like, obviously he's losing a bunch of time, but the mental toll that this kind of mistake takes on you is really hard to recover.
There we go. Definitely. Definitely Hypah now getting some now quote bad crash. Ugh. Kongcakes on the other hand, here we go. Gets 2 errors in and gets Crash Man down. Ugh.
Fascinated. Kind of like Trainwreck is fascinating by Hypah. I caught a little bit of what Kongcakes was doing on the crash climb. Saw him using those item 3s to speed up the climb. Speeds it up quite a bit if you're able to do it. There's a lot of different ways you can use them to speed things up that are varying amounts of easy and hard. We'll see what Hypah has in mind. Tried to catch himself with that one. Didn't quite work. It's possible to place it and land on it immediately, but you can only do it on a certain pixel every 16 pixels, I guess. Every block has a sort of sweet spot where you can place it and drop onto it immediately. And obviously that's really tricky because if you screw it up, you're gonna just drop off the ladder. So a lot of players leave that to the really high level strats. They leave those alone and just try to give themselves some safe alternatives that they can fall onto the item 3 after climbing up ahead of it, that kind of thing. You can really get a sense of where a player is at skill-wise by how they handle that crash climb.
Meanwhile, he gets into the room, gets 2 tornadoes in. Meanwhile, Kongcakes is flailing for his life here. Has to be careful. Ooh. He almost got a trip back to the halfway mark with that quick laser coming just an inch too close to him. Thankfully, he makes the dodge at the last second. He does not opt to go for the zip to the door. Instead, he walks on through like a champion.
Yeah, the zip to the door is very risky. If you do not screen transition, you can soft lock your game. You'll have to continue from a password. Very, very close fight against Quickman. He took hits from both those stompers rather than switching to air shooter or something. So he had to have a clean fight in order to survive. Those boomerangs were closing in on him, but he does not miss any of his crash bombs and closes out the fight.
Once again, Kongcakes letting chat knows how he's feeling. LOL, that scared me, not gonna lie. Trust me, Kong, that was scary for me to watch. Especially when you got that close.
No problem setting up the quick zip as Hypah
turns the lights back on the process.
The Crashman zip.
Yep, he gets the quick zip and turns the lights back on and says, you know what? I want to see where I'm going. Meanwhile, Kong is setting up in Metalman stage for the zip. Finds gold. Got him. Meanwhile, here comes Hypah. He's on the last section of the quick lasers. Pulls out item 1. And gets down in the hole. Meanwhile, Kongcakes is trying to set up for the second zip. Does not get it, so he starts walking.
Nice job by him being able to identify that second item 1 was not far enough over to the left. It was going to despawn. So he had to make a decision right there. And by making it as early as he did, he was able to jump from the platform he was on over to the stomper to save himself some extra HP in addition to time.
Oh yeah. And Hypah answering Kong with a very quick man fight as well. These guys are quickly wrecking these games today. Like, I've seen some quick runs before when we did the preliminaries, but now that we're in round 1, holy dog. They're going to town.
Holy
wow.
dog.
That was a very clean Metalman fight for Kongcakes. That threw me off.
That is the Metalman. As long as you hold B walking into the boss fight, don't cross the halfway point of the screen, Metalman's not going to do anything at all. He just stands there. He runs, I guess. His sprite is running because the conveyor belt is moving in that fight. But he's really not actually going anywhere. His AI triggers are when you actually press the B button. It doesn't matter if you're holding it when you walk into the room or if you cross the halfway point. Thankfully, the quick boomerang has like an auto fire function, so it will keep firing even if you're just holding B from the previous room. And all those elements combine together to make one of the easiest boss fights in the 46 Robot Masters tournament.
Oh yeah. Here comes Kongcakes going into the hot dog section. Booyah, gets the flash stopper at the right time. Gets the mini zip.
This looks pretty good.
And just splits the difference on the dog coming.
All right.
Dial it in, chat. Here it comes. He's setting up. Advances with a decent metal fight.
Yeah. He's actually progressing through Woodman stage here. The platforms are there, you just can't see them. He knows roughly where they are, so he is able to maneuver Mega Man around despite not being able to see them. Gets the scary part by pausing to extend his zip, resetting Mega Man's vertical momentum, keeps him in the ceiling a little longer, lets him zip a little longer, which lets you catch that ladder, which is what you need to progress through the zip. If you do miss that, you are going to have to take a death, and he doesn't miss it, so he is into the boss corridor, because he does eventually take a death. That is part of the zip. And onto this Heat Man fight, charging up the atomic heat. One shot, pow, gone. Done.
Definitely delivering some good wood.
We'll see what Hypah has in mind. He's got Flash Stopper out. This Flash Stopper looked a little early to me. He's going to need a really good mini zip, and he doesn't get it at all, so he is going to have to kill this third dog.
He's probably going to get spawned on. Yep, he's getting spawned almost directly on top of him. Hot Dogger says, hello, you missed me. Interesting to note for this portion of the run so far, I'm noticing some very good gold splits coming up from both players. Kongcakes has had 2, Hypah's had 3 so far, so they're definitely going to give us to the death today their very best runs. And hopefully for the one that moves on, they'll continue to do just the same.
Yeah, the thing about the 46 Robot Masters category is it's so long that not too many people actually do full run attempts.
Ooh.
There's a lot of practice, there's a lot of individual game stuff going on. We see what the Goodwood zip can look like when it goes wrong.
Oh, it went wrong, alright.
It has the extra life to go for it again. As Kongcakes nails the bubble zip. He's moving. Yep, that's a death.
Wow, he's not going to have another life to do this, Mythical. He has to make a decision. The decision has to be, I need to run this stage.
Yeah, that's definitely what you want to do. Pulls out the metal blades. These are really good against pretty much everything. Between you and the boss. Well, yeah, just everything in general. If it was in the other Mega Man games, I'm sure it would be good against everything there too as well.
And chat dialing in bad wood. But as you mentioned, Mythical, this weapon literally makes the subtitle of Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2, Mega Man kills your friends and families with saw blades.
I thought he was fighting Wily. I didn't know that side of him. That's disturbing, to say the least.
Mega Man's gonna have hobbies, It's not just enough to save the world. He's gonna kill everyone's family and friends related.
Also has to control the world with fear.
Exactly.
So we have ourselves a Bubble Man kill from Kongcakes. He's moving on to Mega Man 3. He's going to be going with the Magnet first route.
I love the Magnet.
He's a stage behind. After doing wood here, he needs to go to Bubble himself.
At least with Bubble Man, there's no debilitating kills from the zips. So he's going all out. He's going ham with the metal blades. He needs to be careful here. Hypah, he only got 1 hit left. Does get the sneak in. Gets it done. Woof. Hypah almost suffered a very, very debilitating down. And that would have been his last life, too. Oh, boy.
Yeah, Hypah that would have been pretty huge. One stage is within reason. That can swing. But being one stage down and then dying at the very end of another stage after a failed Goodwood zip, that would have been. He would have lost about the same amount of time, obviously, but it just the mental, it builds up in your head those mistakes mentally. So That would have been a real strain on him, I think, if that had gone wrong for him. He's still got a lot of Mega Man left to play.
No, we still got a whole lot left to play. But one thing I want to notice from the Sum of Best segments, for Hypah here, he really wants to catch Kong before he gets to 5, because that's Kong's best back half so far. All the other, for 4 through 6, he comes in at about 23 to 24 minutes. But for number 5, he comes in at about 22 minutes. So, for the front half, Mega Man 1 was their best game. For the back half, again, Kong has a specialty in 5, and we've often noticed that people who have a specialty in 5 often have a good advantage. As you can see here, Kongcakes going into Magnet Man's fight, having no problem.
He's got the health. He's got the health to cancel out Magnet Man's invincibility attack should he choose to do that, but he's not doing it. He's giving him all of the jump attacks, and this is not what you want to see. It's a lot slower than instantly canceling his shield and then getting some hits in on him. So a bit of unfortunate bad luck there for him early on in Magnet Man stage.
So again, this puts, a whole bar master between each other, and here comes the biggest difference of all, ladies and gentlemen. We have Magnet Man down for Kongcakes heading into Hardman with, the magnet shooter, the magnet missiles. So that gives him a little bit of an advantage throughout this stage. Meanwhile, Hypah opting to go through the worst and the laggiest stage in Mega Man 3 early, Gemini Man stage. This has gone many, many ways for many people. Hypah's had success in this route before, but unfortunately some of his opponents, on the other hand, to name an example, Fishbowl, had a little bit of trouble going through this one. So here's hoping that Hypah has good luck and can catch some serious ground here and now.
Well,
Meanwhile,
looking
Kongcakes,
fantastic, though. I just want to jump back and point out that was an amazing first Gemini screen buster only. Nice job.
Don't think I've seen that in a while. Meanwhile, Kongcakes here manages to avoid every single monkey in the universe. Wow. I don't think I've seen many people get past that last monkey like that. So good job by Kongcakes making the Kongs look stupid. Meanwhile, we got Hypah making it through the ping pong spitters and gets down to the water. And now here comes the interesting strat. What is he gonna do here? He's going for the 1-block slides. This is very tricky. Very, very tricky indeed. Faster can attest to this. He's done it at AGDQ. Ooh! And there it comes.
That's why it's so risky. In Mega Man 3, you cannot jump out of your slide for the first 8 frames of that slide. So you need to be on the absolute very left of these one-tile platforms to give yourself enough time to jump. He is going to be able to catch this ledge. Yes.
Oh god, that was scary.
For him. But yeah, most importantly, it is going to be not a death for him. He got the proto skip, and that turned off the music, so this screen was not lagging as badly as it could have. That helps when you're trying to do those really precise slides like that. Though after that death, the music does come back on, and now he needs to adjust and deal with the lag. In that section, Kongcakes in chat, ever the playful speedrunner. One entertained in more ways than one. He's literally got Hardman down.
Oh, Kongcakes. Yes, gets Hardman down, heads in the top man, and just before doing that, puts a shout out in chat. I passed the monkeys for Harambe. You gotta love it when you have a runner that has enough time to make a joke at the expense of a loading time for item get screen.
It's up to the players how they spend these little breaks they get in between stages. Some of them might want to stretch their hands a bit. Some of them might want to get a drink. Some of them go straight to their keyboards.
Gotta keep my hands focused. Okay, back to using my thumbs.
From Gemini, we go to Needle on Hypah's screen, while Kongcakes has gone from hard to top. able to deal with those cat mini bosses with the magnets. Those help a lot. 5 magnets rather than 10 shots. You want to be careful. Your magnets can go after the yarn balls instead of the cat, so you can see him sliding all the way next to him and shooting them into the wall. It's possible to start shooting a little earlier, but the chances that your magnets are going to do something you don't want them to are pretty high, so he's playing it safe and consistent there.
Yeah, because unfortunately with the magnets, they do have this sort of auto lock-on feature. Ooh, big health for Kongcakes there. Slides through the Master Burrow copy of the top. Gets through, gets on the tops. But yeah, Magnet Missile there has a very, very strange AI in how it works, and it will sort of auto-lock on the first targetable enemy projectile that's in range. So if you have a projectile coming from an enemy that is a projectile, but it's also scripted as an enemy, it is automatically going to lock on that first. And Kongcakes here gets in the top man and pummels top man to pieces. Meanwhile, here we got Hypah. He has to play it really close to home here so he doesn't get muffin popped, and pops Needleman's muffin instead. Boom. He is desperately trying to close the gap that Kongcakes has definitely taken advantage of from a bad crash and a bad wood for Hypah.
I feel like he's making up a little bit of ground.
A little.
Stage.
I mean,
that Needleman fight was really good. He was really low on ammo and health, so if he had missed him once, then a dual laser bouncing around the screen preventing him from attacking anymore would have put him in a really, really sticky situation, so that was actually pretty clutch.
So just looking at their splits, I can see how, their thought processes come together, and it looks like the most advantage that Hypah is going to gain is the fact that from Spark, he's going to go to Magnet, then go to Hard, and go to Top. Thankfully, somewhere in there's some short stages, so that will help make up some of the padding that's in between the two, basically a stage or so at this point. But right now, Kongcakes is going through the second leggiest stage in the game, going through Shadow Man, so hopefully, if nothing goes wrong at Shadow Man, he will literally be flying through with no problems whatsoever, because the only trouble stage he'll have left after that is, Snake Man stage, because that has the third most lag in the stage. Third most lag in the game.
Well, Kongcakes still has Gemini as well. That's always something to worry about.
Oh yeah, true. The laggiest stage in the game.
He's got the magnets for Shadow Man stage, so these dreaded parachute enemies are not quite as dreaded, but there's still a problem, because if they give you an item drop while you're trying to jump over this gap, it can be a problem.
Ooh.
Just dodges the health drop.
It wouldn't have done anything, thankfully, but it still would have, clicked for it and gone, stop.
Sliding straight through one of those screw enemies in Sparkman stage is Hypah. Only the front half of it has an active hitbox. Thank goodness.
Ooh! He literally just poured all of his energy into that last hit on Shadow Man. Like, there's no other words for it. He just poured it into it. Hypah there having another clutch fight.
Yeah, he's pretty low on health there at the end of Sparkman. Needle is only a soft weakness for Sparkman, and it's really hard to dodge Sparkman's attacks. So a lot of players just kind of go in there and hope to kill him before Sparkman kills them. Normally that's pretty easy if you've got something like Shadow Blades. He dies very, very quickly, but with Needles, he's going to get a couple shots in, so you want to have the health to tank those shots.
So as you can see...
Yeah, in Gemini Man stage, he's going to have to really hustle if he wants to beat Hypah's performance in this stage. Already losing a lot of time to lag and not killing these turrets fast enough, so he's unable to slide because of these flame turrets.
There we go. Hypah now,
Kongcakes. Enough magnets to go all the way through this section, so you do have to kind of choose when you're going to switch and make sure you time it right.
And got him. Gets the quick slide past Proto Man's warp, will shut off the music. Very much so reduced lag, getting all these little health drops. Excuse me, energy drops. Meanwhile, we see Hypah had a pretty decent Proto Man fight, is now in the Yoku block section, pulls out the Rush Jet. The disadvantage here is for all the Yoku blocks that are on screen, with addition to the Rush Jet, you're chugging. And that's the rough part about the Rush Jet in this game is you chug bad. Thankfully, for the fact that it chugs, you have versatility. As you can see here, Hypah pulls out the spark shot, gets ready to enter Magnet Man's room. Meanwhile, here comes Kongcakes. He's setting up, and he's going to dial it in, folks. Give us the number in chat, 1-800-R-Marine.
I highly recommend the Rush Marine strat, unless you're a super top-level runner. Even then, consider it for these tournament matches. Making such a difficult screen not very difficult at all for the small cost of, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds. Worth thinking about, even for the best of runners.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure even Fasta, who's literally plowed through this game completely in, what was it, like 25, 26 minutes? Somewhere below the sub-30 mark. He's, occasionally if he can't, do it himself with the whole sliding thing, he does dial in our Marine, which does help. Again, if you can get the music off, it's even better, because our Marine doesn't even cost much lag. The only lag you got is the fish missiles, and thankfully for Kongcakes had a close call there. If you'd taken another body contact from Gemini, he would have been split in two. But instead, he splits the twins and gets the difference, which is the Gemini laser. Uh-oh, Hypah's gonna be in trouble here. He needs to get to that ladder.
Yeah,
it's there.
Monkey time. It's really hard to deal with these guys once they get on top of you.
Yeah, the last thing he needs is 2 monkeys going bananas on his body. That will debilitate him quick. Some players have actually suffered a down because they've gotten smacked on back and forth between the two. Oof. Kongcakes now enters Needleman stage, is switching quickly through all of his weapons. And we'll notice he's using a diversity of weapons here. He uses the lasers on the porcupines. He pulls out the, magnet needle for the, magnet, oh my goodness, magnet missile for the second half here. Hypah there almost got bee-bombed, so thankfully he avoids the bees! Oof. That is shaky.
Proto-Man down. He's skipping the health here in Hardman stage. Hopefully he can get by the Stomper. He's good.
He's gonna have to be careful here. He had a little bit of a shaky Proto-Man fight, took a couple pieces of damage, so thankfully, yeah, he gets a couple of decent shots in, gets 4 or 5 shots in the start, and bam! He flattens Hardman.
Yeah, it's really easy to take a hit there, especially off of Hardman's body, and that can do a lot of damage, so I was really worried about what was going to happen with that Stomper on the way in after he dodged it. I was like, he's going to be okay. And then he gets a beautiful fight where he doesn't even get hit. Anyway. Ooh, the needle off the wall is a little too low. It is going to come around and catch him. No!
No!
Needle pauses, shooting more in the air. He's going to go ahead and go to his E-tanks.
Don't blame him. He only had 2 hits left he could have physically taken. Oh no!
Gets him down. He maintains his lead.
He maintains his cool and gets it done, but not without 2 Nadua lasers coming to wreak havoc. Completely bouncing and missing him. Completely twice. You want to talk about moments that just make you cringe. I don't know what's worse, Naduas or down. Let's take a poll in chat. What do you think's worse, suffering down in the middle of a fight, or definitely getting Nadua lasered? Let us know now. Meanwhile, we have Hypah, who's going through with Gemini laser. He lasered the cats. He's opting to stick with it, so he's probably going to laser this second cat. And we have Kongcakes, who just started Snake Man. Hypah switches over to Magnet Missiles, gets it done. And let's see here. Kongcakes having a pretty good start to Snake Man stage. Is going to switch over to the Rush Jet to hop over the big snakeheads. This has become a more popular strat over time, I've noticed. A lot of people noticing that you can sneak past the 2 giant snakeheads in order to keep going. Whew. We got Hypah here. sliding into Top Man's room, getting ready to pummel him to death, so he spins no more. Kongcakes dealing with the more leggier section in Snake Man stage, gets it done, comes up by the Hammer Joe. Unfortunately for Hypah, he was going for 2 cycles, ends up having to take a 3rd cycle because he missed his timing ever so slowly. I don't even know what I was going to be saying there.
He's about only half a stage back from Kongcakes now. I mean, one of those stages is Snake Man. So that is a pretty long stage. But still, he has made up a lot of ground in Mega Man 3.
I love our chat.
It's a sneaky snake.
I love our chat so much. My mistakes are their pleasure and eventual memes in the future. So both players are now on the same stage. Kongcakes is up in the clouds dealing with missile torpedoes and the ever occasional lag from them. Meanwhile, we have Hypah, who's starting the Snake Man stage, is now on the first big snake. Oh yeah, he has needle down. Whoops. Here we go, Kongcakes offering to try to get on the middle platform to start pinning the needles inside Snake Man. Boom.
Yeah, his determination to end the fight on the middle platform, I think, ended up costing him there. He's not leaving that platform, so he was not able to start landing shots on Snake Man while he was down low, not keeping him in iframes.
But he gets the job done.
He's got the Search Snake for his reward, a mostly useless weapon in the 46 Robot Masters category. Technically Gemini Man's weakness. But generally you want Needle before Snake, and that means you want Gemini before Needle, and that means you're going to be going there before Snake.
Unless you're crazy enough and you want to sit there and try to use the Shadow Blade strat, yeah. I think we have enough people / replays / clips / highlights that are going to YouTube that can more or less point out the finer moments of why going at Needle Man with Shadow Blades is not so much of a recommended idea.
It's a pretty tough fight, yeah. The Gemini laser makes short work of him in 4 shots, but using the Shadow Blades makes the fight drag out. You're going to need to be able to dodge Needleman's attacks, which are very tough to dodge, and you also need to contend with the limited range of Shadow Man's weapon. So definitely want to stick with the Gemini laser, and you want to try not to miss, of course, but it is going to be the better strategy overall. Snake Man also down for Hypah. That means he's got his last stage left. It's going to be Shadow.
Thankfully, the thing is, for Kongcakes, Sparkman's not really that long of a stage until the returning segment, so thankfully he gets to Sparkman really quickly. He's opting to add the little extra lag in order to get into Sparkman's room by using Rush Jet, but thankfully it's a safety precaution, so that way he can get through really good. So here we go, he's fighting Sparkman. This is his last Robot Master. Meanwhile, Hypah's mashing down Proto Man, gets a pretty clean fight. Sparkman is now down. We're moving on to 4. And this is where, Hypah really has to bring it home and catch up real fast. Because again, Kong strong is 5. So if Kong gets to 5 before Hypah, Hypah's going to have to hope and pray he can get to 5 at the same exact time in order to help keep the gap close. Because again, most people, especially with Kongcakes here, his strong is 5. 5 is where people can pull away because of the super arrow and some of the glitches and tricks with the super arrow that people can study and learn so well.
As for Mega Man 4, Kongcakes is opting for Bright Man. He's going to take a death early on in the stage. Not the worst death he could have taken, but not the death you want to take at all, obviously. Especially Mega Man 4, you want to hold on to your lives because this kind of thing can happen in a lot of different places. We've seen a lot of game overs. In Mega Man 4, he's actually going to wait second time around to cross that really, really big jump in the dark.
And here comes the closing of the gaps, ladies and gentlemen.
Half a stage between these players. if that.
Ooh.
And we have a route divergence. Pharaoh first is the slightly faster option, but you have to be totally optimal, and even then it only saves about 3 seconds. So I've seen a lot of players doing this Pharaoh first route and not getting any benefit out of it, really. I mean, you need to be a super, super top tier Mega Man 4 player in order to make this work for you. I mean,
oof.
Yep, you want to jump over that gap to get the balloon on the other side. It's made all the more difficult by the dragonflies dropping the bombs. One of the advantages of doing Bright first is you have the Bright Stopper.
No, the Flash Stopper, Bright Stopper, whichever one.
I don't know.
Called.
I mean, Flashman probably has a Flash Stopper. Brightman probably has the Bright Stopper, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were flipped around or if it was something else entirely. Anyway, we got the balloon. We're at the checkpoint. We're moving on through Fairman stage. And we're gonna see if we can squeeze out the 3 seconds that you can get from the Pharaoh first route.
Yeah, the whole thing is, the reason that most people sometimes go Pharaoh first is they want the balloon early so they can do some extra quick platforming in Brightman stage. That's where they make up some of their time, those whole 3 seconds. But there's also some occasions where, Pharaoh first has been, the unfortunate demise because they play a little too close to the vest and end up falling into the spikes. Meanwhile, here comes Kongcakes. He gets the one lemon off, and now he's on a charge dance with Brightman. He's trying to keep him with optimal distance. Brightman has thankfully not stopped the shoot just yet. He's been hopping around the room. This is going to give Kongcakes a little bit of an advantage because Brightman won't hold still. There he goes. Brightman now holds still. Gets in 2 shots. Oh no! Accidentally slipped off a lemon! Oh, he got stepped on. Kongcakes has to be really careful here. Got him down to 2 life, and boom!
He gets his boss fight down as Hypah is just about to get Pharaoh Man down.
So the gap is now officially closed as... Ooh!
Nice
I think...
skip there.
Yes, he got the skip. He literally puts him a second behind the transitions. Hypah definitely going for the kill on that one. Gets it done.
So what happened in that Brightman fight is Brightman will flash the string and freeze you when his HP hits 16, 8, or 4. And if you shoot him once with the lemon and then hit him with only charge shots after that, his health will skip over those values where he will flash you. But if you mess up and you accidentally hit him again, you can resync him with some of those HP values and you end up getting flashed. That's what happened to him. And luckily he had the health to tank that hit because he jumped right into him, and Mega Man 4 bosses do a lot of contact damage.
Yeah, literally, for any boss that touches you, more or less, any boss that physically touches you in a Mega Man game, we think we've got it down to a science, it's 28 hits. So, if you take 1 direct hit, that's 7 damage. You doing that 4 times in a row gives you instant problems. Instant problems. Because, again, you can only take so much damage. And math is early in the morning just to start.
Turns out in video games, if your HP reaches 0, you die. And you lose progress. Fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got a stage swap here for the players. We do. This is how these routes line up. It really is just swapping the first stage and the second stage. Flash Stopper being put to work early on in Pharaoh Man stage makes it a lot easier to get across that gap, and it also stops the scorpions from spawning. That can help a lot, especially if your mashing isn't very good. You'll have to pause your slides in order to shoot those before you can continue sliding again. Both players into the boss corridors. Brightman fight's gonna go a little faster because Hypah has the Pharaoh shot at his disposal.
Unfortunately, I think he snuck in 1 shot he didn't want to. Oh!
Wow, he was going all out. What, the double KO with the lingering spirit bomb? Unfortunately, does not count. So what he's doing is he's charging up the Pharaoh shot and actually hitting Brightman with it while it is charging above his head. You can still shoot a fully charged shot afterwards, and you can sort of make it count for double that way. The problem is it's really hard to hit a boss weapon that's above your head. So you saw him actually sliding into Brightman quite a bit. If you're really good, you can kind of sneak in and out of there and have it just barely nick the boss or try to get him when he's jumping or something. But in most cases, you are going to take damage. He went all out with the damage boost and then was unable to finish the last hit before getting hit himself. So his dreams of taking the lead here
just got smashed.
They're delayed a little bit. We'll see.
Delayed, definitely, but, if things go wrong here for either one at Ringman, that'll definitely be the deciding factor. But moreover, Hypah is just saying, oh, I only lost 26 seconds. You lost 26 seconds in one whole meal there. Thankfully, you have a couple extra meals, but still. So as you can see here, strategies for the start of Ringman stage being a little bit different for both players. Kongcakes opted to use the Bright Stopper in order to get through this section. Meanwhile, Hypah is going through this with the balloon. So, that'll definitely close some gaps.
Neither. He pretty much nailed it. We've seen a lot of players pull out the balloon, but take a couple extra hits or slip off the balloon once or twice. But he had a flawless climb. He is making up a lot of ground.
Here comes the first ring mini-boss. Kongcakes shoots and scores! Hypah. Got him! Hole in one. So as Kongcakes leaves the Hippo room, Hypah just enters and skips through himself. It's amazing. We're just past the first hour, and both players are on Mega Man 4. This is why they are the top 20, ladies and gentlemen. This is the action.
Was pausing there for a moment. Nice jump up to that ledge there for Hypah. But Kongcakes was really hesitating on some of these coil platforms. It seems like he's uncomfortable with sliding on. Wow, look how close they are now.
Oh, yeah.
Hypah making up so much ground in this stage.
Kongcakes can actually afford to take body contact. Hypah cannot. This is going to be an interesting fight. Here we go. Hypah gets the opening shot in. Kongcakes gets it in too. Hypah takes a shot from the ring. Has to be very careful. Gets it done. Kongcakes here getting too close for comfort. Oh, no!
He opened that menu for an E-Tank and then
got slapped in the face!
He still has enough Pharaoh Shot to make this work second time around. This is the danger of Ringman. He moves very fast. His attacks are very fast. But he is also very predictable, which is great news for a speedrunner. The trouble comes from Ringman's stage requiring you to take so much damage to skip all the mini-bosses that you usually get here without enough health to take even a single hit. And if you're trying to really optimize things by getting the double hits on your Pharaoh Shot, it does become quite risky, and that sort of thing can happen.
So the unfortunate thing is, I really thought Hypah was going to be the one to go down. Instead, it was Kongcakes, who unfortunately had the close call there. So this definitely gives Hypah a little bit of ball control here. Not much, because here comes Kongcakes entering Dustman stage. So we're definitely going to see the second equalizer of this race come into play, the Dust Crusher section. This is where hopes and dreams come and either, live on or die.
They get compressed into tiny little cubes
to stop everyone else.
Gets put to the side and abandoned forever.
This right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is everyone's hopes and dreams! Oh my goodness, Hypah.
That is... Wow! I thought he was totally screwed. The ring there on the return trip, clearing away the one block that he needs to stay alive.
I don't know how he did that, but damn.
He's moving on. I mean, part of, if you do that room optimally, part of the strategy is having the ring come back and clear out some of the blocks for you. But I've never seen that particular, event, the way it played out there. The crushers were quite a bit lower than they usually are, and that ring clearing out just the one block.
Woo!
Is dead. He had 2 health left, so really risky there. We'll see how the Crusher section goes for Kongcakes. He's through.
He took a second to back up, but
Yeah.
he definitely made it through smooth. So, whew. So
Okay.
unfortunately, you know, we do see that Hypah is ahead going into Skullman stage here. Not much of a big difference because again, thankfully, you know, Kongcakes can make it up in number 5, which is very, very good. Let's see here. Where is Hypah's best game? Oh boy, the same spot.
He gets the zip in Skullman stage. Nice little trick that you can do. We got a Dustman fight from Kongcakes, opting not to cancel the vacuum attack by running into him. He wants to keep his health. He's died once on a boss already. Well, probably more than that, but he does not want to die any more than he has to. He gets a second vacuum attack after taking a hit. Anyway, this is horrible, horrible luck.
RNGesus is coming to town and does not like Kongcakes for some reason. Getting 3 suck patterns in a row, finally jams the vacuum on Dustman with a ring shot.
Hypah looking really good in Skullman stage, using these balloons very well. Seems very comfortable with the balloon jumps.
Definitely, as he definitely got looked like a little bit of springboard action going on there. Definitely making good use of the balloons. Starts Skullman stage, while meanwhile Hypah's coming up on the last part of it is Kongcakes. He's gonna have to be very careful with Skullman because he is the highest damaging robot master in Mega Man 4. This is where the unpredictability of Skullman's gonna play a little bit of a problem here, especially when it comes to his shield. We'll see how it goes. Starts off by shooting some lemons. Shield is up. Let it up for about 2 seconds. Shield is back up, drops it down thankfully, and boom, gets the job done.
Yeah, he missed that one shot, but he does a good job of keeping that
Cleaning
fight
up.
under control.
Definitely got the cleanup that he needed as he moves into Dive Man version 1. Well, will be moving into Dive Man version 1.
E-Tank from Eddie for Kongcakes.
Here you go, you needed this a while ago, didn't you?
Yep.
I've officially renamed Eddie the Troll, because he has literally given all of our contestants everything they need 1 stage later. Chat already questioning why I said version 1. If you've not played Mega Man 4, there's 2 Dive Mans. There's Dive Man and then there's Drill Man.
Yep, we'll talk a little bit
We'll get to that
about
soon enough.
why he dives and why it's bad. But he does dive. You'll see. You'll see at least once, and hopefully only once, but probably most assuredly more than... Well, I guess there's 2 players, so definitely at least twice. Anyway, we got Skullman here coming up from Kongcakes. We'll see if he can match Hypah's fight. Bit of time to save with that 1 missed shot.
Alright, gets 2 shots in, gets 3 shots in, gets almost a 4th shot in, got denied by the shield, but the shield does not go back up as Skullman opts to try to lemon him to death, and boom. Skullman has gotten dusted.
Everyone knows that bones are very strong except for against dust.
I guess so. I mean, well, I guess if you take dust and put it together, you create junk, and I guess, you know, junk can just kill bones anyway.
As everyone knows.
Logic in a video game.
You never encounter like an undead enemy like a skeleton. The first thing you reach for is
Pile
a
of
pile of junk. Naturally.
Can you just imagine that? Like, Link's in the graveyard, you know, he's got Cartus Estelfos, pulls up a piece of junk and just throws it.
It's just got like a rusty steel pipe. Alright, Dive Man is down.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
solid fight
Very
from
solid.
Hypah. Staying close to cut those those drill attacks, I guess, as short as possible. And using the skull shield to deal with the dive missile that he shoots out. Doing everything he can to keep Kongcakes away and preserving his half-stage lead.
Oh yeah, he's definitely trying to keep it as tight as he can for the ground that he's made up from the rocky start he had in both Mega Man 1 and 2. I mean, going into 2, Hypah did have the lead, but Kong did make the ground up because of bad crash and bad wood on Hypah's end. But because of the death during Ringman, Hypah managed to close the gap that the two of them had. So this is literally going back and forth consistently between Kong and Hypah's advantage.
One of the advantages Hypah has over Kongcakes is his ability to mash a little faster. It's hurting Kongcakes on these whale enemies, having to go for at least 3 jumps on each of them. And it definitely helped Hypah in the Proto Man fights of Mega Man 3.
Oh yeah. That definitely is where Hypah made some of his comebacks, is definitely with the Proto Man fights. So as you can see here, Kongcakes now having a pretty decent Dive Man fight. He only popped off 1 missile that time, gets it done.
And the different appearances of the streams is due to the various capture methods. Generally, if you capture off of a console, you're not going to get the same.
You're not going to get it right
on emulator. And some people go all out and mod their NESs with RGB or S-Video or something, and they get a clearer picture out of it.
But yeah, no, as far as we know, Kong is using, actual cartridges, and Hypah is using EMU.
So there's a dive there from Drillman. You can manipulate him to not do it by staying close to him, but it's not a sure thing. Overall, a very, very good fight, though.
Not an EMU, I'm a stork. Good to know.
Kongcakes is now about a full stage behind.
Give or take. I mean, he is in Drillman stage, so...
Probably going to switch to Flash at some point.
Meanwhile, Hypah is going into Toadman stage, the wussiest robot master ever existed. And I guess at one point, I wanted to bring this up, I don't know who it was, but someone actually got rain flushed by Toadman in one of the runs.
I heard that happened, yep. You just need to not hit him a couple times, and he will actually attack you for once. That's the rain pushing you back. That's how Toadman stage works. This first section in the rain, you move more slowly in the air. Makes it really awkward to clear these gaps, even if they're only 2 tiles wide.
So does make the recovery there, thankfully. Unfortunately, this does allow Kongcakes the chance to catch up to Drillman's room. So, woof. Hypah takes any more mistakes like he did at the start there, Kongcakes could come flying back and get into 5 before him. So, we're definitely going to see some interesting stuff. Here we go, the Dive Man fight. V2 has just started for Kongcakes. Oh no, here it comes.
Immediate dive back down. And the dive missile also not cooperating very well. It is sort of on the player. You can make sure you're somewhere and Drillman is somewhere when you shoot those things. We do see a death there late in Toadman stage for Hypah. Drillman goes down. Yeah, those the dive missiles are kind of drunk a little bit. Kongcakes almost reset after drill. Nice, avoiding those instincts, those speedrunner instincts to hit the reset button. You can work with the dive missile and put yourself in a position and the enemy in a position where when you shoot, it has a pretty reliable path to the enemy. But if you're just throwing it out willy-nilly, it can surprise you with some of the weird paths it can decide to take.
So this is gonna put... Oof. This is gonna put Kongcakes just entering Toadman stage while Hypah starts Starman. This is not good.
Come to Starman stage because this is where you get the super arrow. We're going to use it to speed up all of the remaining stages. It's a pretty fantastic item. Lets Mega Man move around very quickly, vertically and horizontally, and also doubles as a weapon in some really niche situations. You can also see the Mega Man 5 Charged Buster has a much wider hitbox on it and will now pierce enemies if it does kill one. So it actually is a pretty good weapon, especially in certain spots, like early on in Starman stage here.
Ooh! And unfortunately...
I guess he wanted a slide there, not a jump. The input for a slide is down and the jump button. So if you let off of down for just a moment, you can find yourself in that situation. He did want to start holding right for after he slid off the platform. So I'm guessing he went from down to right a little too early. And instead of that slide, out came a jump.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is Starman's gravity definitely does, definitely does make it a little bit weird to jump in because it's sort of watery. If you played any of the Mega Mans and you've dealt with the water physics, you know the feeling. You know how it is. It adds up real fast. And he was trying to jump the turret, but unfortunately he got no love there. Starting across Starman's fight, takes a jump in the face with Starman's shield up. Thankfully is sneaking these buster shots in, and is getting somewhat decent luck here. Gets it done. But this allows Kongcakes enough time to get about 1/10 of the way through the stage, so this is still a very much so close race. Basically, whoever gets to 6 first is gonna have the advantage.
Opting not to use the buster is Kongcakes just holding the charge and dodging the enemies instead.
Well, Cybercoon, the thing is, we're just going for the Robot Masters. If we were gonna do a whole 1 through 6 run and have them go all the way to the end, we'd be here for about 6 hours, give or take. We ain't got no time for Wily. We got time for all his lackeys, though. Meanwhile, as you can see, Kongcakes is coming up on the door to Starman. He just has to get past this one tricky section. Meanwhile, we have Hypah, who's just started Gravity Man stage, has the super arrow out, is getting ready to do some fun. Opts not to take the big energy there for the refill. Oh no!
Oh.
Advantage spikes!
That's a lot of deaths he's taken here. Mega Man 5 will drop a lot of 1-ups, but you can't chew through them the way he has been.
Ah!
He went for it again!
Advantage Kongcakes as Starman is down. This will give him enough time to make sure that he gets into the Gravity Man when he's halfway through with Hypah. Oh no! I understand trying to throw some hype out there, but dang, Hypah, take it easy, buddy.
Just really wanted that jump straight to the health. I don't know.
He's trying for it, but it's like he's going for the jump, but he accidentally on the slides or just walks right off the thing.
He's done a really good job of not letting mistakes phase him so far. I've seen him make a mistake, whether it's small or actually pretty big. And as soon as he respawns,
there we go.
Comes back out swinging.
Definitely came back out swinging that time.
Has enough super arrow ammo to put it down and ride it for the rest of the screen.
Woot woot.
But yeah, he's not switching to safer strats. He's not hesitating when things go wrong. And for the most part, his execution on his second tries have been very, very solid. Hopefully he can stay that way as he finishes out the last 2 games of this race.
Oh yeah. This is definitely going to be as tight can possibly get.
Hypah's low on life here, but the Gravity Man fight is pretty scripted. He misses 1 shot, and he actually trades once with Gravity Man, holds on to that last grain of rice. He is done with that fight, done with that stage, probably quite happy to be moving on, ready to put some of that stuff behind him.
Unfortunately, with the downs that he has taken, this has allowed, Kongcakes to close the gap and get near the end. So, as he's just getting out of Gravity Man's, collection screen and going to Gyro Man, Kongcakes starts the fight with Gravity Man, is having a pretty decent fight with him. Has thankfully not gotten any, shot blocks into his face. Boom, gets it done.
Making up just a tiny bit of ground in
Oh, yeah.
his Gravity Man fight. And at this point, that kind of time can matter. Normally, I favor the slower, consistent strategies because I feel like your race is not going to be decided by 3 seconds, 4 seconds. But with the way they are now, it's getting more and more like that's the situation we're going to be in. This is the closest race we've had up to this point, halfway through Mega Man 5.
Oh yeah. Reminder, this is the first round. The preliminaries are over. This is the top 20 people who made it through. So you're definitely seeing the action really coming together as these 2 top-tier players going head-to-head are just definitely fighting and vying for something to help get the edge over the other. As you can see here, Hypah is going through the falling block section, has to worry about the helicopter needle drop, and is now going to go to the rising needle section, where he's just going to have to play very careful, because if a death here just before the door will send him back to the falling block section. Oh no, Kongcakes!
Yeah, the arrow was too high. Normally you want to slide under those enemies. He tried to jump over them. I don't know if that's even possible, but he went for it, and he was unable to find his footing.
Oh, Hypah!
Hypah also takes a death. He definitely has at least 1 extra life. He's going to be able to continue from the checkpoint. That still puts him a little bit ahead.
Kongcakes is back at the start. Ugh. Feels bad, man.
Trying to buster these enemies. He is really low on life, decides to just go for it anyway. Slides off the edge.
YOLO through the clouds.
I think he felt like he was dead anyway. I don't know. It seemed like he just kind of walked off there. Like, he probably got stuck in his slide a little bit. But yeah, no, look, that is intentional. He is going to try to take a game over here. He wants his lives back, wants his health back. And I'm not sure what his super arrow ammo situation is.
0!
Yeah, he wants that back too. Takes him a while to find this death here in Gyro Man's stage, but it could be worse. Extra lives that you get aplenty in Mega Man 5 working against him here as he has to kill himself that extra time.
There we go. Hypah there, running out. Claiming my sub 2.
I think he's probably still on pace for sub 2.
Oh yeah, they're both definitely on pace for sub 2. I mean, at this leg in the race, they're almost guaranteed sub 2. They just, gotta be careful. Can't afford much more mistakes. Gotta play it close to the vest. Gotta make every shot count. Gotta make sure everything works perfect. Kongcakes making the recovery from the mistake that he made earlier. Meanwhile, Hypah had a couple of problems, but does get Gyro Man down. Heads into Crystal Man, checks his life counter, pulls out the super arrows, getting ready. Here we go for the crystal skip, baby.
Yeah, this is a really weird thing. But basically, you want to kill yourself on the same frame when enemy spawns. Mega Man's death sprites fill up all of the game's memory. I think this looks good. It does.
See you in 40 seconds.
Yep, you can tell it worked because the enemy on the right did not spawn. Mega Man's death sprites filled up the memory, so instead of putting that enemy on top of that other guy, it puts it into some places in memory where it really shouldn't have, including where Mega Man is in the stage. So that value ends up being high enough to put Mega Man all the way at the end of the stage. Unfortunately, it also writes in that it takes him about 40 seconds to respawn after a death. So that's what we're seeing right now. But it is definitely worth the wait. Crystal Man stage is really long, and even if you do it perfectly, this warp is going to save you about 10 seconds. But since so many players learn the warp instead of the stage, having to actually play through the stage
is a nightmare.
Lose a lot more than 10 seconds.
Yeah, if you know Crystal Man stage and you know what to expect, the warp to basically chugging it, as you said, is about 10 seconds difference, but if you know the stage well enough, it's not too bad. As you can see, both players getting their respective bosses down. Kongcakes gets down Gyro Man. Meanwhile, Crystal Man goes down for Hypah. This will move each other onto Crystal and Napalm, respectively, for Kong and Hypah. So again, still a really, really close race. There's really not much of a deciding factor between the two just yet. I mean, we're going into the second half of 5 coming up for both players, so we'll see how things go. Ah!
A death there very early on in Napalm Man's stage for Hypah, dealing with these tigers. These are really annoying enemies. He's through second time around. Kongcakes looks good.
Gets it.
I've seen a lot of players struggle with these drills here in Napalm Man stage. He gets to the edge of the screen before that third one spawns.
No, Kongcakes is not straight up giving up. He has not given up yet, and he will not now. Hypah being thrown an extra life.
Yeah.
One game too late there, Eddie. Ooh. Okay, I see why Eddie did that. Hypah's really going to have to be careful here. A lot of people have suffered a lot of debilitating downs to this one section in this missile room. Thankfully makes it through. He cannot afford it down here at this moment, folks. He only has one life coming up in the last half of Napalm Man's room. He has to make it through these pits. Meanwhile, Kongcakes gets into Crystal Man's room, has missed a couple of the gyro attacks, but does manage to recover and get them done. Boom, boom, and boom. Down goes Crystal Man. Meanwhile, we have Hypah, who's entering Napalm Man's room, needs to get a perfect fight out of this one, cannot afford it down here. Gets all of his shots in so far. Doing good, taking no damage, making sure not to get shot by the napalm shots, getting missiled instead. Here comes the first napalm of the match. Doesn't matter, Napalm Man goes down, no struggles whatsoever.
Very clean fight. Probably could have taken some hits there to make sure that his crystal shots came in at just the right time to keep him in iframes, be a little more aggressive, but I guess at this point he's perfectly willing to play it a little more safe. Commits some energy to dodging those attacks and saving his health.
Now comes this game's unholy trinity, starting with Snowman for Hypah. We can see Kongcakes going for the method that most people prefer for the drill section here. Rips out the Star Crusher and keeps on chugging a slide. Only gets 2 drills. Very nice for Kongcakes. That's a quick screen.
Keeps the Star Crash out for a little bit there. It does not get on the super arrow fast enough. Copter knocks him off.
Sniper Copter says LOL. Hypah getting interesting use out of the super arrow there, using it like a trampoline spring. Bounces up one of the ladders there in Snowman stage. Very nice.
Kongcakes actually got a weapon energy refill from Eddie. Used it to place 3 super arrows on the next screen, get up nice and high, and ride it all the way across. Nice improv there.
Kongcakes has to be a little bit more careful here. He only has the one hit he can afford to take. Kind of dicey situation, especially when you come up on the boss corridor when you only have, enough left in the meal in order to get hit. Why is that not updating? There we go.
It's possible to be a little faster on that drill section, but he's playing a little scared here. He is going to have to not get hit at all by napalm.
Oh, yeah.
The way his opponent did. So we'll see if he can pull it off. Missing a shot is not a good way to start. I think that threw him off a little bit when he saw it. Unable to jump over that attack. At least he died quickly, not wasting too much time on a long, drawn-out fight.
Meanwhile, Hypah is on Stoneman, having a pretty decent fight so far. Gets the job done. So this now will put a whole stage between both our players at the moment. Kong looking really upset. He's trying to get a PB here, but he's definitely still capable of getting it done as long as he gets through these next few sections pretty decently.
Also, he's technically still 20 seconds ahead of his PB. So he's that's definitely some negative thinking on his part. He's throwing out these LOLs at the end of his.
So I can't tell
chat, but I think there's definitely
a little bit of tension.
Yeah, there's a bit of tilt going on that hopefully he can get under control, because he's still got a fair bit of Mega Man left to play, and he's still very much got a chance.
So I haven't seen any chicken room dedication just yet. As Hypah here is blowing through it with no problem whatsoever, has yet to take a hit. Kongcakes starts on Stoneman stage, doing pretty decently there. Chicken room is done. Kong definitely looking to make up some time here, rips out the super arrows, thinking, you know what? Time to start riding a little bit more dangerously and starts using some extra super arrows. Get some
too high.
He had nice height, but unfortunately, a little too high and too close to the sun there was Kongcakes, and he came crashing back down to Earth.
He gets the refill though.
Yes, gets the refill and gets the reset up. Rides it on to the sunset, and very nice timing on that gravity hold.
Yeah.
Oof. Meanwhile, we can see Hypah here is playing a little bit too close to Chargeman's face, is trying to get the Power Stones to work.
It's possible to manipulate this fight and put yourself in certain situations so that your Power Stones are off screen or hit him, and you don't have to pause to get them off screen yourself. Because you can't shoot again until they're all off screen. So you can cut out a lot of those pauses and really speed up that fight, but it is so tricky to make that happen with this Chargeman fight that almost every player has opted to just go for this pause spam strategy, one pause per hit. Stoneman is down for Kongcakes, making sure to keep this race as close as he can.
Again, there's a whole stage between our competitors right now. The difference being Hypah has the more difficult of the stages to do still. Kong does have a slight advantage where he's going into Chargeman next. If Hypah does mess up here, things could go very good for him. For Kongcakes in order to catch up. As we can see, Hypah enters the bubble room, types dang in chat. I think he missed his steps. Yes, he did. He goes crashing back down to the bottom of the bubble room.
Used up quite a bit of super arrows as well.
And now he's going to have to play it safe. He's going to have to ride the big bubble and then cross the little bubbles to the other big bubble. Like, I understand the strategy in trying to use the super arrow to be, like, super quick and super, on target and trying to make your platforming easier. But sometimes you have to judge, in advance what was good and what was bad about that. It looked like Hypah wanted boat skip, does not get it, so now has to ride.
Yeah, he used too many super arrows on that attempt in the bubble room. Didn't have the 3 he needed. I think you could probably make it work with 2, but if you're not comfortable doing it that way, you probably don't want to risk the soft lock.
Yeah, unfortunately with the soft lock, that means you have to reset, dig up a password, put it in, make sure it's set for Waveman to be still alive, and then redo a stage. Which that takes up some time. That's the one thing about the Mega Man series that I've sort of loved over the years is they put in a password system, and then later a save system. It's just, why can't other games that take so long do that sometimes?
They knew how hard it was. Plus, Capcom's just a good developer. Or was it, at least back then?
Back then, they were smart. Nowadays, it's, I question.
At least they're not quite at Konami levels of washed up.
I don't want to talk about them.
So we got a Charge Man fight, lots of pauses, just missing that Power Stone before he entered that invincibility state. As Charge Man does get him down just before Hypah slides into Waveman stage. By that I mean the boss room. All right, he's got a lot of health. I don't think he's going to have any problems here. It's very common to trade hits, especially when he's camping out in the corner like that. Suddenly, this fight is not free. Keep it together. Trying to just poke him with the charge does not work out, and now he has no more charge kicks. He's going to have to buster this fight.
Kongcakes could have an advantage here if he can get through Waveman quick enough. Yeah, because this fight is not a friendly buster fight, because you have to be careful with Waveman's, patterns. Ideally, what he's doing is he'll jump through the room. Ideally, he's going to put a hydro pump below where you're standing, and then shoot a harpoon and begin jumping again. You can't shoot through the wave unless you have charge kick, which goes through it. So you have to time your shots perfectly.
Seemed like he knew exactly what Waveman's pattern was. Gets the buster fight down. No problem. He is moving on to Mega Man 6. Lost a good chunk of time in Mega Man 5, about 2.5 minutes compared to his PB, but he is still 2 minutes ahead.
Hypah trying to be a little bit honorable here because he can switch faster. Gives himself about a 5-10 second wait before he starts Windman's fight.
No boat skip for Kongcakes. Kongcakes. He's going to shoot it out as well. We got a Windman route first from Hypah. This is a very common starting point in Mega Man 6.
Oh yeah.
We saw route deviations in 2, 3, and 4, and 1 actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 was solid. 6 probably also going to be solid. Some people do like to start with Flame Man. It's more of an older strat. I guess it has some advantages over Windman, but I think that the general consensus is you want to go Wind first. Buster does very well in this stage. You get Flame Man's weakness, which gets you the Flame Shot early. That helps you out in a lot of the other stages. He's been dealing well with the pandas and the fans are kind of the standout things about this stage.
Indeed.
If you can, you want to land on the very corner of these fans where they don't blow, and then kind of hit jumping right at the same time, and that will get you the height you need to ascend on these fans. It's possible to get stuck in a sort of mid-height oscillation that doesn't put you down low enough to a platform to jump off of anything and doesn't put you high enough to grab a ladder, and that can be pretty annoying.
Booyah! Waveman is down for Kongcakes as Windman goes down for Hypah. Unfortunately, the one game advantage still stands, which kind of does stink, but there is a good chance that Hypah could slip up on the worst room in the game, giving Kongcakes the advantage he needs to get to Collective and get back in the race. And we'll talk about that room soon enough, ladies and gentlemen.
First up, we got Flame Man stage. A lot of players really like this stage, just straight up fun to play.
It's a very quick stage, too. I think it's the quickest one in the game, next to Yamato Man's back door.
There's a lot of opportunities to slide. If you so choose, a lot of players opt to not throw in so many slides. In Mega Man 6, you can't just jump out of your slide. You have to cancel it first, and that can make the inputs a little awkward if you're trying to slide over every little surface that you can. Nice turnaround damage boost there from Hypah.
Kongcakes trying to play very careful here. He still has that charge shot held in from earlier. That adds a little lag on the reverse platform section there, as they do switch and cause a little bit of flicker. Meanwhile, Hypah unfortunately has set the oil blaze from the Flame Telly. Is going to have to be careful in his second half of Flame Man stage, because another pit is going to be on fire for him just for that. It's kind of a cruel, unusual punishment from the developers, but you know what? They've decided in the last 5 games they gave you enough mercy. And there it is, the flame is alive. Getting through this section here is Hypah. He's getting through kind of smoothly. Needs to be careful here on this next section coming up, because they're going to lock in his position. Uh-oh, he's stuck in the oil!
He's going to hopefully get hit by this fire. So this enemy aims at Mega Man, but he needs to...
Oh! There it is.
A little bit closer. Ooh, so yeah, if he got hit by that fire, he would have the invincibility frames to be on top of the one-hit kill flames, and then would be able to jump out. That was a really awkward situation for him, unable to manipulate the flame guys to shoot the way he wanted them to. And then I think he just kind of mostly got caught off guard by that guy who respawned when he scrolled the screen back to the left. It ended up being...
Oh no, get out of there, get out of there! Ooh!
That's another thing. When you are on the ground and the flames get lit, you don't just pop up on top of the flames. You do have to jump again.
This is not looking good for... Oh no! I do believe... Yes! The punishment has been delivered. Here comes Kongcakes to catch up as he enters Windman stage. Going into the fight, he's doing pretty good. Kongcakes is having a good time there, getting his shots in perfectly. Unfortunately for Hypah, the troll has started earlier than the worst room of the game, with the flame tellies and the flame bosses throwing their fires and throwing them in the flames itself.
Yeah, it looks like he was just a little unfamiliar with some of the specifics of how those flames work, or it could just be, you know, straight up misplay. Could be nerves. Hard to say. I don't want to say nerves because he's been playing so well up to this point, and it looks like he's comfortable taking some damage boosts to go along the fire. So I think it was just a moment, a lapse in judgment that happened to him.
Here we go. Both players are now on the same stage. This race is literally coming closer and closer by the death. And as you can see here, once again, the fires are still ablaze in that one section for Hypah. He needs to be careful. There's the free energy tank if he wants it. Not going for it this time. Is hopping over the platforms. Thankfully, does not get the flames lit. Oh! Oof.
That's fine. That's pretty expected. If that enemy decides to attack you, there's not really anything you can do about it, so it's pretty common to take a hit there and keep going. I'm mostly impressed with the way that he didn't hesitate at all in that section.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't play it safe, didn't, go to a ledge and wait to see what they were going to do. He just went, and he nailed it, too.
Oh, and he was busy messing with his timer and literally paid the price for it. Time consumed him again.
He still has the ammo. He's going to be able to finish this. Even with the Buster, it's not too bad of a fight. Wind definitely makes it easier. But, I mean, that kind of thing, on top of the game over, even a solid player like Hypah can start to
get distracted,
worry about things a little bit.
Kongcakes has to be careful, makes the jump. Both players were literally going almost minus 6 minutes coming into this one, having a couple of rocky starts. There's still chances that they can make PBs and make up some ground. Definitely for Kongcakes here. As interesting enough, here we go. Blizzard Man's going to be starting for Hypah. Flame Man goes down for Kongcakes. There's no real route deviation from each other at the moment, just yet. But as we can see, Blizzard Man, here we go. This is the technical stage. Well, all the sliding and the ice physics you're going to have to deal with. Not to mention the instant death trap that is the submarine towards the halfway point of Blizzard Man's stage. This is where most people have the deciding factor before the real deciding factor.
Yeah, the sliding on ice in Mega Man 6 is a little weird, because if you want to jump out of your slide, you need to cancel it, and if you cancel your slide on ice by pressing left, like we just saw by Hypah, you go shooting backwards at pretty much full speed. So you don't want to do that. You want to cancel your slide with A. That will actually preserve your momentum going forward. But if you're just used to canceling your slides with left, it does mean you need to change that specifically for this ice stage, and that can be annoying. Now, we saw the Chicken Room dedication to Butter. And if you're a Mega Man 6 runner, you know it's the strat on the submarine screen where you slide under those spikes. He actually got really close to skipping that cycle. That is Butter, and we almost saw it from Hypah. Still a really solid screen, though.
Oh, yeah. Kongcakes, not want to be outdone, is catching up as quickly as he can, making it to the submarine section. He's playing pretty decently, now opts for the Fire Blast, so he has a lot left in the tank. Meanwhile, Hypah's gonna have to make every shot count here, because here comes Blizzard Man.
He's got a lot of health, so he's probably not too worried about that.
Still has to be careful, though. Thankfully, 2 Blizzards to start. And here comes Blizzard Man, rolling away. Here's a second roll, takes a collision, gets the shot in, and gets it done. Thankfully, things did not get too out of control.
Yeah, things can really start to snowball.
Oh, yeah. When Blizzard Man starts snowballing, you better run.
He had an opportunity to maybe get to the right side of the screen before he did that charge, and that shortens his initial charge attack quite a bit. So he opted to stay on the left side. That drew that out just a little bit. We'll see if maybe Kongcakes can find those sorts of optimizations. Gets a charge right away, so no chance to do that particular optimization.
And here it comes. Thankfully, second rollout gets Blizzard. Here it comes. He's starting to roll out on him. Gets another Blizzard in, so he gets the shots that he needs.
That was
alrighty.
A solid fight from him. He did not have the health situation that Hypah did, so he had to actually be very concerned about taking hits. And those snowflakes can give you some really, really crappy patterns sometimes, especially when you're stuck in the corner.
Eddie trying to offer an E-Tank up to Hypah. Hypah ignores it. Misses the one jump cycle on the first Kong. Gets it down. So, Mythical. It's coming. We have to talk about it. Would you like the honors?
Well, it's Plant Man stage. And especially the second half of this stage has a lot of hazards that almost any single one of them would have been a decent challenge and would be a fun thing to take on and would be rewarding to finish. Any 2 of them would be like a highlight difficult section of a stage. This has like 5 of them all together. Oh wow, he just looked Like, he hesitated like crazy coming off of that platform.
Too much.
That or there was a really serious control issue, but I don't think that was the case. Those floating platforms, you can shoot them to open them up, but if you've got the flame shot out, you probably don't want to use it that way. So you either have to switch to the bust. Wow, he is trying to buster down this enemy. I do not recommend it. He has a lot of health. The flame shot does 4 times the damage of buster to that enemy. Look how... Are they in sync with each other? They are in sync with each other. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an emote in the chat that is perfect for this moment. If you are one of our lucky subs, this is the first opportunity to bust out the speed sync. I'm looking forward to seeing it in chat.
Oh
no! He went for the platform jump. Kongcakes has been slowly opening the platforms, playing this difficult section quite safe, and Hypah, in his trademark style, has not been slowing down at all, regardless of what bad things happen to him. He was going all out, and he pays the price.
Oh, yes. As Mythical's trying to explain, folks, this one section here alone, as Kongcakes manages to regain his lead that he had lost since Mega Man 4. That one section is completely and total butt. I'll explain it after this wonderful fight. Here we go. Here comes Plant Man for Kongcakes. Starting off the fight, gets the shield in, jumps off the wall, gets the first blizzard attack in, can't manage to sneak the second one in, gets the shield up. There we go. Sneaks another one in, his shield comes back up, makes the next jump, gets the next shot in, is able to sneak off another shot. He's doing very good here. Gets another shot in. Can he sneak in one more? Yes, he does. He gets the down.
It's possible to be really aggressive on the Plant Man fight. Take a hit, have your damage knockback put you inside Plant Man's hitbox, which seems like a weird thing to do, but basically Plant Man's AI has routines for when you're on the left and for when you're on the right, but it doesn't really know what to do if you're right in the middle. So it's possible to intentionally get right inside him, and that breaks his AI a little bit. He starts running around, he doesn't really attack, doesn't really jump. These springs, the hitboxes on these springs are full 16 by 16 blocks, even though they look like they taper at the top. They do not, so it's possible to kind of slip on them the way that he just did. And we'll see how this affects his ability to keep going through this Plant Man stage.
So
just have to
again,
buster this enemy a little bit.
This is why I call this the worst room in the game, ladies and gentlemen. This one section of Plant Man stage, you have the platforms above you as a safety so you can get to health, but below you, you have bottomless water pits, you have piranhas in some of those pits, you have stag beetle robots flying at you, you have little sniper turrets sitting on the springs. In the springs, you have to hold the jump button while you're on the springs to reach your maximum velocity in the air. If you do not, you only get tiny jumps, and in combination with the fact that you're going to jump over a piranha or into a piranha sometimes, you have the snipers there, you have the stag beetles trying to push you back. It is literally the hardest room in the game to get through with a clear head because you have all these hazards coming at you once. It is so debilitating when you go down there because you go back and have to fight the second mini boss Kong in order to continue back to this section. It is frustrational, it is very, very tiring, and it does add up. There we go. Kongcakes is going halfway through Tomahawk Man stage, about to get to the fight. Meanwhile, Hypah having a pretty good fight so far. Is managing to sneak in 2 shots here to get Plant Man to keep moving, trying to drain his life as fast as he can. Is able to get 2 shots in consistently and gets Plant Man down.
Actually finished him with that strategy of getting inside his hitbox. If he had done that a little earlier, he probably could have saved a couple seconds on that fight, especially because he had so much health to work with. But then again, after such a rough go in Plant Man's stage, I don't blame him at all for just wanting to play it safe.
Not a good start for Kongcakes here. He has to be careful. Does have the energy thing, thankfully. He was having a bit of trouble with Tomahawk Man here. Having to be very careful here. Tomahawk Man does a lot of damage fast. Doesn't matter. Gets the reserves in, gets him down.
Has just enough plant weapon to deal the damage you need to finish off Tomahawk Man. If you waste even one shot, it means you're going to have to pull out some other weapon to deal with him. And so it was a really good job that he managed his ammo situation on top of the health situation. with the E-Tank. He is now mostly a stage ahead with 3 Robot Masters to go.
Here we go with Yamato Man for Kongcakes. Meanwhile, Hypah is now heading through. Tomahawk Man stage is about halfway through. Eddie showing his love, saying, "Here, you need this." Says, "Nah, I don't need it," from Hypah, and keeps on running. Meanwhile, Kongcakes, there we go, starting to climb up through Yamato Man's area. Here we go. This is one tricky part of Yamato Man's stage. You got the Dragonflies with the Skull Bombs. Touching either one of those while you're in the air, guess what? You're going backwards and in the hole for a hole-in-one. Has no problems getting through. Meanwhile, Hypah's on the first or second Met Dispenser here. That was the second one, is coming up on the boss door for Tomahawk Man. He's trying to close the gap as much as possible. He's trying to make sure he can somewhat keep his lead that he lost a little bit to Kongcakes and get it back. Meanwhile, Kongcakes here pulls out the jet and is going to start to climb to the back half of Yamato stage. This is the quicker way to get through if you want to really niche the fight. Here we go.
The boss fight. He's got tons of health, which is really good.
Oh yeah.
Some of these attacks are hard to dodge.
Body hits suck. Tomahawks suck. The headdress is not that bad, but just body hits and tomahawks are just things you don't need. Here we go. Gets it done. Tomahawk Man is down. And I said Met Dispenser, not Meth Dispenser. I would like to clarify.
That'd be a different game.
Yes, it would.
Entirely different motivations for Dr. Wily.
He's evil. Wouldn't matter. It'd be in his partake. But as we can see here, having a very good Yamato Man fight is Kongcakes. Scores the split in half on Yamato Man.
It's really hard to keep Yamato Man in iframes while dodging some of his attacks, and the nature of the Tomahawk weapon means you need to be fairly close, otherwise it's going to go shooting off the top of the screen.
It is a weird weapon. Not as weird as the Yamato Spear, though.
Yeah, it goes mostly forward, but it will alternate going slightly up and slightly down. There's actually a part in the stage where you really want to have the Yamato Spear going up at a certain point. That is death again for Hypah. It's pretty early on in Yamato Man stage, but it's getting closer to another game over. That almost looked intentional. I guess we'll find out a bit of, well, maybe not. I think there was a bit of a, did that really just happen when he beamed in again?
Kongcakes manages to make it through the pillar of spikes coming down in Nightman stage. Hypah, unfortunately, again, suffered 2 debilitating downs. Makes it through the Dragonfly and Skull Bomb section. Thankfully made it through. This race is still wide open. We still have about a Robot Master between each other. There's still a chance Hypah can catch if he plays really good in this next part. He has the 3 people left. He has Yamato Man, Nightman, and Centaur Man. Meanwhile, we still have Nightman going on for Kongcakes, who could still manage to pull away a sub 2-hour run if he can get done with Nightman soon enough.
He's really going to have to hustle.
Oh, yes.
Also, Hypah, even if Hypah has the run of his life for a few stages, he's still counting on a bad mistake from his opponent at this point. There's just not enough Mega Man left to make up this gap through sheer execution alone. Kongcakes' race to lose as he's moving his way through the bouncy castle at the end of Nightman's stage. He's got a lot of health, and if he's smart, he'll play it really safe all the way through the end of Centaur Man.
Here we go, Yamato Man starting for Hypah. Having some troubles here. He's getting stuck on the Yamato Spear. Needs to be careful. Yamato Man can get one shot on him in his curtains. Thankfully, the kill on Yamato Man prevents him from getting down.
Yeah, Yamato Man can jump pretty high, so I think that's kind of part of the design of the way the Tomahawk weapon will go up and he'll go high, and so you can hit him with it. But the truth is, being able to read his jump and react in time to put your Tomahawk in the right place, to hit him way up in the air like that is really hard. So that was a nice snipe by Hypah to get that fight down, stay alive, and do everything he can to put pressure on Kongcakes.
Yeah, Kongcakes is not gonna make the sub 2 hour because he literally has to get through the stage in about, say, 20 seconds. That's just not gonna happen yet. As far as we know, there is no Centaur zip, so... Also noticeably, there's like 0 zips that have been found for Mega Man 6.
As of Mega Man 4, maybe 3, yeah, he's going to be able to use the iframes and the pause menu to make this ceiling go away. Not going to be a Death and Nightman stage there. Nice job, Hypah. As of Mega Man 4, I believe it is, maybe 3, they made it so that basically if you're inside a wall, instead of being zipped out of the wall, you just die. So that really hurts the potential of being able to zip. Maybe one day, though. One day someone will find a way to keep your iframes somehow, and then that will open up a whole new world of zips.
Oh yeah, that would definitely do some people some wonders. Meanwhile, there's people coming back and are wondering how in the chaos that Kongcakes got ahead. Well, let's recap for you. Hypah was going strong going into Fireman stage, had to suffer it down, still managed to get ahead going into Plantman stage, but unfortunately, worst room in the game, decided to say hello to Hypah. Very, very hard.
Yeah, things went bad in Flame Man stage as well. He didn't quite, close the gap there. But he was really running away with it until Flame Man, and that was when the cracks started to show.
That's when it all went down.
Plant Man kind of busted it open from there. Hopefully he can pull himself back together and keep going to keep this pressure on Kongcakes, who is moving very slowly and consistently through this stage, pausing on those platforms for those jellyfish. I mean, he's not actually going very slow at all, but he is taking his moments, basically, picking the times when he needs to, go fast, and when a bad situation will cost him a lot of time. Slow down a moment, take it easy, make sure it goes right, and that is the absolute right thing to do in this situation when you're playing heads up, head to head against an opponent. It's possible to utilize these sorts of strategies. It's one of the things I really like to see, and one of the things I also like to see is a finished Centaur Man fight. That is a 2:02:05 for Kongcakes, finishing in first place. He's going to be advancing in this tournament, knocking out Hypah, who is just one stage behind. One of our closest races so far.
This has definitely been the closest race in the 46 Robot Master Tournament. Again, congratulations to Kongcakes with an SRL and first place time of 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 5 seconds, according to RaceBot. Is Hypah gonna finish, or is Hypah gonna sit here and take it?
He's so close, I don't know why he wouldn't finish. Maybe
finish, man! Get the run!
Taking a moment at least to... He's dodging the projectiles. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got the controller in one hand and typing on the keyboard in the other, some sort of congratulations message. Or maybe he just wants to jump rope a little while. I'm not sure. It's up to the player to decide how they want to react to the news that they've just been eliminated from the tournament. This is Hypah's reaction. Gonna actually open up the pause menu. I'm sure the people want to see him close it out.
Come on, chat. Give Hypah the encouragement. Give him the ability to finish. Let's cheer Hypah on. Come on.
He's got the tomahawks out, looking like he's going to try to have some fun with the rest of this stage. If you can't play for speed,
play for fun.
Might as well play for fun. Going a little crazy at the end of the stage there, almost jumping into the spikes. He's just draining his ammo.
He is blowing his energies.
I don't know if this is fun or frustration or what.
For a moment like that, I definitely call that frustration.
It's gonna opt for the Blizzard Man weapon. We'll see the sick Blizzard strats in Centaur Man stage.
Hypah doesn't need Ansel. Yeah. There's a good thought. He could go for a Buster finish to finish out Centaur Man. We will see what happens.
Gonna grab the health. I don't even...
I can't even comprehend. What the heck? Here's your encouragement, honey.
At some point, the players realize that when we have their streams up here, we don't really have a lot of control over what the players choose to put on their streams.
Thankfully, he keeps it PG.
So we have seen some stuff move. Sliding into the spikes is Hypah.
Hypah has officially forfeited, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. He's he's been in chat. He's been doing a bit of, LOL and facepalm and OGs. But I think the truth is, he's sore about what happened. He's not happy with his performance. He knew he could have done better, and it didn't happen. So he is gonna forfeit. He is eliminated from the tournament, but he is still showing the congratulations in the race chat. So he is. I think he's a little bittersweet there for him. I really hope he continues to play the Mega Mans. I think I stopped by his channel a little bit ago, and I think his plan is to move forward with 4, or maybe it was 5. But if you want to see more Mega Man from Hypah, because he has a really interesting way of playing. He goes all out, even if a section goes bad for him and he dies, he comes right back out and just goes for it again. And he has he'll usually nail it too. It's really impressive. So you can follow Hypah, you can follow Kongcakes. The command for that is not ! Hyper, it's ! Runners. Those are the links. Kongcakes going to be advancing in the tournament. Speaking of the tournament and the future of Mega Man 46 Robot Masters, it's a little murky. Next match is scheduled for Sunday at 10 p.m. What? Today's Thursday. That's a lot of days without any Mega Man. Damn.
There's good hope, though.
What's going on is we've just advanced to the next round. Players have just sort of gotten their next matchups. They're going to be scheduling those. So even though they're not scheduled yet, it's possible they could pop up, pretty quickly over this weekend. So you can follow the... not follow, but just kind of check out the schedule, either for the channel or for specifically the Mega Man Masters, 46 Robot Masters tournament. You can check the upcoming matches there if that's what you're interested in. We got something later today, though. Super Metroid Double Anti-Bingo is 9 p.m. So if you want to wait for 9 hours, just sit right there. Don't go anywhere. Hopefully you ate something. And in 9 hours, Metroid... or you can go away and come back. That's probably what I recommend.
Oh, yeah, go away, come back, Go take a walk, get a breather.
You're casting that as well, aren't you?
Oh, yes. I'm definitely looking forward to this match tonight. I cannot be more excited about this. Unfortunately, one of the competitors is dreading this completely, and I'll explain why just right now. It may be the loser's bracket, but this is a rematch of the century, folks. Last year's Any Percent tournament was Dro versus Elm to move on in the actual event, in the actual winning bracket so far, and Elm got knocked out by Dro. So this is a rematch of the century coming in almost a year later. Elminster 45 versus Dragonaz at 9 p.m. tonight. It is going to be freaking amazing. I cannot wait for this match. It is going to be so much fun. If you don't know what Double Anti-Bingo is, I recommend you to come watch tonight. Learn about it. It is some of the most exciting 30 minutes to a half hour, 30 minutes to an hour you'll ever experience playing Super Metroid, especially with these two great players.
All right, a ringing endorsement from Sacred Hooves. Thank you so much for joining me on commentary today.
Dude, I'm always glad to join the commentary, especially with matches like this. Today's match itself between Kongcakes and Hypah was amazing. Like, I'll admit, I woke up 5 minutes before the match, don't get me wrong, so I was, sleepy for half of it, but the strong finishes here are just freaking amazing. Like,
I
this
agree.
is why you watch these things. When you get to these good people and the good tiers, this is like, yes. So again,
It
though,
does get pretty good.
Kongcakes is moving on to round 2. We still have left in round 1 Toad 22484 versus Avalon Star, Enemy versus Beef Watson 85, and then Dark Terex versus Mazamov. And for the winner of those remaining matches, for Kongcakes, he's going to go on and face Prissy in round 2. For the winner of Toad versus Avalon, they will have the pleasure of racing Fasta. And for Enemy and Beast Fwaston, they'll have the pleasure of racing Baron Haynes. And for Dark Terex and Mazamov, they'll have the pleasure of racing Nero_X2.
All 4 of those players are monsters, possible tournament winners. So
yes.
They're going to have to come up really big in those matches. It's going to be a heck of a challenge for them to move on, but it's what they got to do. So that's it for speed gaming for most of today. Come back in about 9 hours. Super Metroid, double anti-bingo, and also if you're a sub, we got emotes. We got more emotes now. We also hit 25 subs, so we got even more emote slots. We've got 3 for you. There's 1 open. We're still trying to figure out what we want to do with it. I kind of like some kind of hype emote, get hype, maybe just some text. I don't know. It's kind of boring, but we need some kind of all-purpose emote, I think, to spam for when cool things happen. So we'll get that going for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you again soon.
So yes, once again, pleasure to join you, Mythical. Great guy. These guys, between him and Feasel, they help organize the events. I have been Sacred Hooves. This has been the 46 Robot Master Tournament Round 1, Kongcakes versus Hypah. See you next time, ladies and gentlemen.